Today's lecture is titled Economic Security, Part 3. We are reading from the Moorish literature by the great prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And we're reading from section 41 or number 41. I'm on page 39 of my document. We're going to be continuing the subject of economic security. In part 1, we learned what economic security is. We learned the definition of economic security. We learned about economic power and the definition of economic power. That came out of the Moorish literature, number 19, that good 1 and 9 coming together. In the second part, we continued and learned about the doctrine of economic security that the great prophet, Noble Drew Ali, talked about and wrote about and urged us in the direction of. We learned about the doctrine of being secure in economics in part 2 of this great lecture series, touching on and asking the question of economic security. Is that something that should be preached among us today? Or have we solved that problem amongst our group today? Economic power, economic security. Let's read about economic works in the economic businesses, the economic engine of the Moorish Science Temple of America around 1916 during the first convention. We read in this second paragraph, during this, our first convention, in sessions specific of general work and civil accomplishments were reported by the grand sheiks of each grand temple and subordinate. As each grand sheik was required to give a reporting of this and the governor and in the continued growth and development of this divine movement. As each grand sheik gave their report about the growth of business and enterprise of, the example of collective efforts show that the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America and their leaders have enacted a sound economic program and are blazing the trail and marking the pathway over which our posterity or children can travel unhampered and unafraid. Think about that. We're going back to 1916. Again, we're at this part 3 of economic security and asking the question of the condition and status of our economic security today as a group. Now we could say the 40 to 50 million of us that may identify as Black, African American, the group that identify as Moorish American or Moors, the group is what we are talking about, but also the family, the individual. Is economic security an issue today, May 1st, 2022? Are we able to cover food, clothing, and shelter continually, consistently, without pause, without difficulty, without having to overcome great challenge? Do we have luxury, money, good homes? What is our economic status today as we compare ourselves from this May 1st, 1916 convention, this being 2022? As he talked about the growth of the business and the enterprises of each temple and the collective efforts of each temple and the enactment, the moving, the motion, the action of a sound economic program. Do we need that today, or is that base already covered for us as a group? Do we need among us the preaching of economic security among us today, or have we solved that problem? We learned in part one that great prophet, Noble Drew Ali, he said that the preaching among us of economic security is not nearly intensive among us as it should be. Have we solved our economic problems of today? Are we secure and building our ability to improve our living standards, which means our economic power is strong? Is our economic power strong today? Do we have a sound economic program that we are working out where our children may inherit it, not a job, but a share, a stock, a bond, a position in their own business, in their own collective business? Do we have the necessary economic power amongst us where we have zero unemployment? As we study this today, this topic of economic security on May 2022, we look at the dollar and its power being slowly dwindling away, its power fading away as nations no longer want to keep it as a reserve currency. As consumer prices are going up, cost of an apple, cost of a can of tuna fish, the cost of milk, the cost of eggs, the cost of butter, consumer prices going up, whereas our dollars purchase less, and less. Looking at the economic factors of the day, scanning the landscape of the economic factors, we ask the question and pose the question again to the Moors, again to the Moorish Americans, again to those Americans of our group. Is the preaching among us not of a prosperity gospel? We preach the everlasting gospel. The preaching of economic security, food, clothing, and shelter. We are touching this subject today because it needs to be touched, as there are many questions that need to be answered around economic security, around economic power. We talked earlier about our dollars and our cents. Cents, S-E-N-S-E. Are we putting cents or our attention units on our economics as Moors, as Moorish Americans, as a group of Americans? Are we practicing and promoting the doctrine of economic security, a doctrine, meaning a belief or set of beliefs held by a church, political party, or other group, a fundamental governmental policy, a doctrine of economic security? Is that practiced among us today? We are, again, introducing this subject on May 1st, 2022, and asking and posing the question to you, Moors, to me, to us, to we. Must we promote economic security? Have we secured an economic program, a sound economic program, so that our posterity may continue? So in this part 3 of this lecture series, promoting economic security, we refer you to the More Zion Trading Post. You can find us at MOORZION.com, morezion.com. You can find us at YouTube at the More Zion Trading Post and Botanica. You can find us on Instagram, More Zion Trading Post, as we continue to talk and address the question, the idea, the concept of promoting and preaching economic security. There's much I want to go into, much I want to talk about, but what I've been giving you is an introduction to the Judaic sciences of the Moors. It has been said that that great prophet, noble Jew Ali, came up through the Moor Zion's temple of Moorish Jews. It's been written and documented. It's been said in modern day and time that that great prophet, noble Jew Ali, is of Hebrew lineage. And we know it is said that the greatest and great ones of finance today and yesterday are those that practice those Judaic sciences. So as we conclude this lecture, we will be introducing our next subject, the Judaic sciences of the Moors. That great prophet, noble Ali, pointed us to that history of antiquity of the Alhambra in Spain and how the Moors ruled Spain for nearly a century. How the Moors, the North Africans, brought knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and light to the darkness of Europe. We taught the Europeans how to bathe and clean themselves. We taught the Europeans how to flush their toilets, how to not have chickens in their houses, how to have toilets, how to not have cows in their houses, and how to herd and corral their cattle and livestock. We taught them how to cook their food and gave them new delicacies. We gave them many libraries and colleges, whereas their kings lived in barns and books were hard to find amongst the Europeans. That great prophet, noble Jew Ali, pointed us to a time of antiquity where that Moor, that dark-skinned, strong conqueror ruled all of civilization and the seven seas. The Moors, he pointed us to, that ruled and gave religious freedoms to all of those across their territories and domains. Whereas those that were called Jews, those that were called Bet Israel, those that were called Hebrews, those that were called Elohim, where they had strong connection with the kings, the sultans, the rulers, the sheikhs, where they had strong connection in running the government, where they had strong connection in trade and commerce, barter and exchange. They had strong connection in monetary policy, fiscal governance. They had strong connection in consulate matters pertaining to all matters of government. The Hebrews, the long lineage of that great prophet, noble Jew Ali. So as we conclude this subject, Economic Security Part 3, I want you to like our page, follow us on Instagram, follow us on YouTube, follow us as we continue to preach economic security. We asked a question and we hope that you answered it on part 1 and part 2. Is this something that needs to be preached amongst us, or have we overcome that situation? answer that question? Did you comment? Did you like and share? If there's no need to preach economic security, well, hey, we can stay at home and enjoy ourselves in the world that's falling all around. A world that is falling all around us. He said to preach economic security. Brothers and sisters, family and friends, broadcasting to you live from the Washington, D.C. area, the Moorish Zion Trading Post, doing business of sharing knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. That great mission, the resurrection of the dead, uplifting fallen humanity, a member of the Moorish divine and national movement. Said nationality is the order of the day. And yes, there's no thing greater to preach than to preach economic security. I'm your brother from another mother, a Hebrew, making it do what it do. Like and share. And if I added value to your life, if I said anything in these last 3 videos that added value to your life, then I was successful in making a deposit into your mental bank account, into your mental wallet, into your mental or memory storage. So if you feel it in your heart, if you feel it, that it was of value to you, to your family, to others, like and share, but also share some of that value, make that value circulate. Circulate that value back, and I can circulate back to you. Circulate that value back in the form of $1 or $2 or $3 or $5 or $20 or $100. But circulate back so we can be in reciprocity, so that we can be in an economic exchange, economic trade and commerce, economic bartering. Exchange with me. You'll find our information at thezionchurch.org, thezionchurch.org. We know that when we step into a church, it becomes a temple, the temple of the living God. You can find information there to donate, exchange, give tribute if you feel as such, but to continue that circulation of wisdom, that circulation of energy, that circulation of force, that circulation of power, because learning and knowledge is energy. It is an energy that can cause light to shine in your mind. It can cause light to light up the blood vessels, the oxygen, the carbon, to light up the elements, the neutrons, the protons, the electrons. They can cause them to light up and to move with greater movement, to have greater motion, to circulate from the top of your head to the feet, the bottom of your feet, causing greater motion and wisdom and oxygen inside of your hip, inside of your body, inside of that biological structure that are created by a mind creator that we sometimes call the great battle. So circulate with your brother, and I can circulate back. Circulate with your brother, and I can circulate back. We hope that you have enjoyed these lecture series, part 1, part 2, and part 3 of economic security. Broadcasting to you live from the Moorish Zion Trading Post, wishing you the best, the very best of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Teaching that wisdom of that great prophet, noble Drew Ali. Wishing you the very best, coming and reading from the Moorish literature. Find more at moorzion.com, MOORZION.com. Peace and blessings.